The COVID-19 pandemic has likely brought many changes to our lives, and with it uncertainty, altered daily routines, financial pressures, and social isolation. We worry about getting sick, how long the pandemic will last, whether we'll lose our friends or job, and what the future will bring. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we experienced stress, anxiety, fear, sadness, and loneliness. And mental health disorders, including anxiety and depression, can worsen. Mental health, defined by the World Health Organization, is a state of well being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community.
Mental health and substance use disorders affect 13% of the world's population. That number could increase as people around the world shelter in place and adjust to a new normal amid the coronavirus pandemic. Based on a national survey on mental health and coronavirus, they found out that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the mental health of 59% of people in the United States. However, in the Philippines, around 6 million Filipinos are estimated to live with depression and/or anxiety, making the Philippines the country with the third highest rate of mental health problems in the Western Pacific region. According to a research entitled Psychological Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic in the Philippines, during the early phase of the pandemic, 1/4 of respondents reported moderate to severe anxiety and 1/6 reported moderate to severe depression and psychological impact.
Mental illnesses are health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior. Mental illnesses are associated with distress and/or problems functioning in their social, work, or family activities. People with depression, anxiety, or obsessive-compulsive disorders are experiencing a detrimental impact on their mental health from the COVID-19 pandemic, which requires close monitoring on clinical practice. First is anxiety. It is a normal and often healthy emotion. However, when a person regularly feels disproportionate levels of anxiety, it might become a medical disorder. Anxiety disorders form a category of mental health diagnoses that lead to excessive nervousness, fear, apprehension, and worry. Second is depression. It is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest, also called major depressive disorder or clinical depression. It affects how you feel, think, and behave, and can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. Also have trouble doing normal day-to-day activities, and sometimes you may feel as if life isn't worth living.
Helping people with problems regarding mental health. First, set aside a time for them. Show them that you care by setting a time especially for listening to them. Do not let any distraction since it shows lack of empathy. Number 2. Lend your ears and attention. Sometimes people who have mental health problems just want someone to listen. Make listening is your first priority when conversing with them. Respect their feelings even if you do not agree what they say. Number 3. Do not trigger unnecessary pressure. Give the person time to open up and the time to answer questions. Pick a neutral language and avoid pressing questions which would make their mental health worse. Number 4. Offer them help in seeking professional support. It is best for them to know that their feelings is valid. Problems concerning mental health must be assessed by a professional rather than our personal advice. Help them in seeking medical support.
Mental health is just as important as physical health. Mental illness is a physical illness of the brain that causes disturbance in thinking, behavior, energy, or emotion. Did you know that only 50% of those affected receive proper treatment? Mental illnesses affect 19% of the adult population, 46% of teenagers, and 13% of children each year. The person affected is not only limited to those of a particular location. Mental illness may occur to the poor, to the rich. 1 out of 4 people struggles with mental illness each year. Due to the stigma and the lack of awareness, people tend to think that mental illness means being crazy or anxiety and depression is just an overreaction. We have to end this stigma today and tell the struggling people that help is there, that there is a cure for their mental problems. We have to tell the society that going to the doctor for mental health is normal, that it does not differ from going to the doctor for blood sugar control, for hypertension, for eyesight. And only then can people struggling can accept the help that is waiting for them. Now that we are facing the COVID-19 pandemic, we must look out not only for the signs of the virus, but also for the signs of mental health problems. Here are the hotlines, foundations, and groups providing mental health support and advice.